Welcome back. In this video, I will discuss some trends in global electricity consumption in buildings. What is electricity used for in buildings and what is driving electricity consumption? Let's start with a global perspective and investigate the global electricity consumption. This graph shows that over the last 3 decades, global electricity consumption more than doubled. It furthermore shows that electricity consumption is dominated by the industry, followed by residential buildings and next the non-residential buildings. In 2019, buildings consumed almost 50% of global electricity demand. The global increase in electricity consumption is driven by electrification in transport, think of electrical vehicles, heating and cooling in buildings, think of the use of heat pumps and air conditioners, office equipment and appliances, and electrification of industrial processes. Now let's look a bit deeper into electricity consumption in buildings. This graph shows the global final electricity consumption over the last 3 decades in residential buildings, the blue line, and non-residential buildings, the orange line. It shows that electricity consumption in both residential and non-residential buildings increased with a factor of almost 2.5 over the last 3 decades. There are, however, large differences between world regions. These two graphs show developments in the past 3 decades of electricity consumption in the residential and non-residential buildings in Europe and North America. The graphs show that in these regions the electricity consumption stabilized in the last decade. This in contrast to electricity consumption, for example, in Central and South America and Asia, excluding China, with sharp increases in electricity consumption. Please note that I used different scales on the vertical axis for the various regions, and that electricity consumption of buildings in North America in 2019 was 3 times higher than in Asia. Where is this electricity used for? This graph provides an estimate on the shares of final energy consumption in the building sector per activity. In the first 2 weeks, we investigated options to reduce energy consumption for space heating, water heating and space cooling. In the next 2 videos, we will dive into options to reduce electricity consumption for lighting and appliances. What you need to remember is that the presented numbers represent the global level. When diving deeper into different world regions or individual countries, you will notice that the shares for the various activities can be very different. What is driving this increase in electricity consumption? An important driver is the increased adoption of electrical appliances and equipment. This is demonstrated in this graph, which shows the historical development in the share of US households owning electrical household appliances like refrigerators, dishwashers and dryers, televisions and connected devices like computers and tablets. What can be observed is a saturation in ownership in the US, especially with respect to large household appliances. You probably don't need more than 1 dishwasher. The same trend can be observed in other high-income countries. This contributed to the stabilization of electricity consumption in buildings in the last decade in Europe and North America, as we have observed in the previous slide. In contrast to saturation in the adoption of appliances in developed countries, a further increase in the adoptions and use of appliances in developing regions is expected. Due to rising income, more and more people will be able to afford and purchase appliances, resulting in increased electricity consumption. This graph shows the projected growth by the United Nations of the stock of refrigerators for 150 developing countries and emerging economies like India, Brazil and Indonesia up to 2030. A further trend shown in this graph is a significant growth in the number of small plug load and connected devices in use, such as routers, set-top boxes, smart speakers, computers, tablets and other connected equipment. The IEA categorized all these devices into 4 groups: entertainment, ICT, such as your tablet and PC, security, automation, and local area networks. Unsurprisingly, according to analysis by the IEA, overall electricity consumption by these plug-loaded devices has increased twice as fast as for major appliances in the last decade. Although it must be noted that accurate projections of the electricity consumption of these devices are hard to make because of lack of reliable numbers. But maybe you think, what about all the electricity that is needed in data centers to process all the data streams for these connected devices? In contrast to the doomsday scenarios sometimes sketched in the media, the IEA estimated the electricity demand for data centers in 2040 to be 1% of global electricity consumption. The IEA furthermore projected that although the workload in data centers is expected to triple between 2014 and 2020, final electricity consumption is estimated to stay on almost the same level thanks to large efficiency improvements in IT hardware. The graph on the left-hand side shows where the electricity is used for in data centers. The dark green bar, labeled as infrastructure, includes the energy demand for cooling and lighting. On the right-hand side, you see the split of energy consumption among the different types of data centers. So far, we discussed trends leading to an increase in electricity consumption. A trend leading to a relative decrease are efficiency improvements due to the introduction of more efficient electrical equipment in households and offices. You've probably seen these labels on refrigerators, televisions, and dishwashers. These labels have been introduced all over the world for household appliances, but also for office equipment. A recent study by the IEA revealed that appliance standards and labelings are highly effective in reducing electricity consumption, and this also contributed to the stabilization of electricity consumption in Europe and North America that I showed earlier. So, to conclude, worldwide electricity consumption in the building sector is expected to further increase, mainly due to rising ownership of major appliances such as refrigerators, washing machines, and televisions, especially in developing and emerging markets. Despite steep growth of the use of connected small appliances and plug-in devices, their share in final consumption is still limited. Appliance standards and labels are highly effective in reducing electricity consumption. Thank you for watching this video. In the next video, we will investigate electricity consumption with household appliances.